we're joined by Tara Beti, who is the Public Policy Manager at Instagram India. She is here to talk to us in the conversation that we've been having in the last 1 week on preventing violence against women in online spaces as a part of our December Spotlight this Jnana. Tara is going to talk to us about how to stay safe in the online space, basically specifically on Instagram. She's going to show us several tools that we can use to stay safe on Instagram. And over to you, Tara.
Thank you for that. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for dialing in on a Friday evening to listen to me. Um, we take the safety of our community very seriously. It's something that we are extremely committed to, and we constantly evolve our product or our app rather, and the features that you see and interact with to make sure that we're giving people as much control over their experience. Um, so if I can quickly start, we can get into it, and then hopefully we can address some questions that the audience may have once I'm
Sure.
done with the presentation. So just bear with me while I quickly share my screen.
Sure.
Great. Are you able to see this?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Great. So very quickly, before we get into how to really, manage your Instagram experience, I think the one thing I'm really keen to call out is account security. We get a lot of complaints about hacked accounts, about people taking over other people's accounts, etc., etc. So we really encourage everyone to use two-factor authentication and set strong passwords. I know this is brass tacks, but it bears repeating. I think everyone needs to understand that this is an extremely important feature and an extremely important protection that you need to take. Two-factor authentication works in the same way that an OTP works. You get it every time somebody tries to log into your account, you get an OTP on the registered number, and then that kind of gets you into the app. Secondly, I know this is more topical because we've been facing a series of hacked accounts, and this is just something to kind of take note of. We have two new updates that we made in the last year. The first one is about support requests, which is if you go into your settings and go into help, then you should be able to see support requests. And this is where you can track all the posts and accounts that you've reported and what the outcomes of those reports are. And then right below that, you'll see violations. This is where Instagram will tell you if you've made any violations that are, if you posted anything or engaged in behavior that is not allowed on our platform. The next one, if you look to this, the next screen, it says emails from Instagram, and this is really, really important. The only way Instagram will communicate to you is through email. And this is where we basically log all the emails that we've sent you in the last 14 days. So if you've received an email from Instagram that is telling you about your account, then it's always a good idea to check this. And the way to do it is go into settings and then to security, and you should be able to see emails from Instagram. um, this is something that, I mean, blocking is something that I think every platform offers as an option, and I encourage everyone to use it liberally, especially when you're facing harassment and you just don't want to deal with it. You should not feel afraid to block anyone. The way to do it is to look for the three dots on the top right of your screen, and then when you open it, you should see this menu, and you should just click block. Muting is another great way to just kind of switch off the noise. So if people are sort of routinely messaging you or harassing you, and you just don't want to interact with them, or you don't want to be confronted with their content, then muting is another great option that you can use. Reporting is something, again, I think that every platform offers. And I just want to take a moment to reiterate that you can report every piece of content on every surface of Instagram. So this means live, it means reels, it means stories, it means IGTV, your direct messages, comments, posts, entire accounts. You can report everything on Instagram. And again, the sort of single point entry into reporting is to look for the three dots, whether it's on a post or anything else or an account. Look for the three dots and you should see this menu that gives you the option to report. I'll quickly just talk about a few different kinds of reporting. Comments. So with comments, the way to report is to hard press it, and then you should see a pop-up menu that allows you to report this comment. On Android devices, if you just hard press it, you'll see a pop-up window and then you can follow the reporting queue. On iOS or Apple devices, you can swipe on comments and you'll be able to see the reporting option. Similarly, with stories, look for the three dots on the bottom right field of the screen, and you should be able to see the reporting menu. And lastly, with direct messages, and I know this is where a lot of harassment takes place, um, just long press or hard press or keep that message pressed, and then you'll see this little pop-up option here that asks you whether you want to copy it, reply, or report. The another place, and frankly, this is where a lot of the harassment happens, and we're well aware of it, is comments. And we wanted to give people a lot of granular controls over how they can moderate their comments. One, we have multiple kinds of filters. So we have an automatic filter which hides offensive comments. This is language that we as Facebook consider abusive and offensive, and it'll automatically weed this out of your comments. However, we do live in India. Sometimes there are languages and Romanized words, for example, that may be specific to you or may trigger you in particular. So we've also given people the option to create a manual filter where they can put custom keywords. And once you put in those keywords, they will never appear in your comments. Lastly, we've given people to filter the most reported words. So this is basic from our internal data. We've taken a look at the language that is reported the most, and this filter basically reads all of those comments out of your all of those comments out of your posts basically. We also give people the ability to turn comments off completely. The way to get into your comment settings is to go to settings and then privacy, and then you'll see a comments option. So you can actually turn commenting off. Let's say you want to make a post which is particularly contentious, where you know you're going to invite scrutiny. This is a good option that you can use. Uh, I've already told you you can report comments, but you can also delete abusive comments in the same way. You just hard press on it and you should be able to see an exclamation mark. You click on it and then you can either report it or delete it. I've already told you about the custom keyword filter, so I'll quickly skip
Mhm.
through that. Um, this is a new feature that we rolled out quite recently, which allows you to actually manage multiple comments at a time. So especially for those of you who have many followers on Instagram and are getting multiple comments that are abusive, this actually, instead of having to delete each individual comment, you can sort of bulk select a bunch of comments and delete them together. We've also given people the ability to control who can at mention you, which means that if they put my Instagram handle is Tara Bedi, so I can control the people that tag me on in comments or posts. So the way to do this again is to go into settings, go into privacy, and then you can look at tags. You can also look at mentions. This is also a place where you can control your audience that can comment on your posts. And like I've shown over here, you can either allow everyone to comment on your posts, only the people you follow, only your followers, or a combination of the people you follow and your followers. So again, this is something that we wanted to create as many options so that depending on the person and the kind of account they have, the way that they use their Instagram and what they use it for, depending on your own personal context, you can actually customize this experience for yourself to a fair degree. This is another new feature that we launched in the last 6 months or so. And it's currently applicable only to creator and business accounts. It actually allows you to control who's able to message you or not. So if you go into your settings, look into your DM section, and you should be able to find these controls as well. This is actually a feature that I'm quite proud of, and I think is quite incredible actually. It's still a work in progress, and we're still getting better and better at it. But we basically use some amount of AI to detect bullying or offensive language when it's being posted. So, if, for example, in your comment you've used language that is bullying or offensive, after you post it, we give you a quick warning that tells you that we've detected bullying language, and are you sure you want to go ahead and post this? We've initiated a similar protocol in captions. So for example, if you're if you're putting bullying language or offensive language in your captions, again, we'll show you this push notification which says this caption looks similar to others that have been reported, and it gives you a chance to self-remediate. So the goal here really is to get people to take pause and to really consider what they're about to say and why they're saying it. And our initial studies have told us that a lot of people have actually detracted their comments once they've made them through this intervention. So this is another sort of small initiative that we've taken to prevent bullying and harassment on our platform. Restrict is actually, I think, a really cool feature. And this was something that we launched when we were thinking about young people and especially school children, right? Because a lot of younger people use Instagram. Blocking is a pretty aggressive action if you're confronting the person in your day-to-day life. So imagine you blocked somebody, but you aren't able to block them in your real life, right? You will still confront them in school or college or in the workplace, whatever it might be. So restrict is actually a silent way of blocking somebody. If you restrict them, the messages that they send you don't come into your primary inbox; they go into your other inbox. So it's one sort of one level of removal from that from the offensive behavior. Similarly, nobody will be able to see the comments this person has a restricted person has posted on your posts. You actually can manually review them and either delete them, see it, but basically we wanted to create again distance from somebody that is trying to engage in abuse with you. And the last one is that we won't, of course, the person that you restrict won't know that you've restricted them. So as far as they're concerned, um, perhaps they feel empowered by engaging in this abuse. But I think our goal was to really protect people from the abuse as well. Another sort of happy outcome of restrict is people, for those of you that have allowed people to see when you're online. So sometimes when you're online and if you're in your direct messages, you'll see a little green dot next to somebody's name that tells you that this person is online. Then if a restricted person will not be able to see when you're online. Um, this is another quick, this is not, I think, completely relevant to the topic at hand, but it's something that we've been thinking about. And it's, I think all social media, all digital media at this point gets a lot of criticism for um, making people feel like they're getting sucked into it, that it's addictive, that it's a black hole. So we really wanted to give people the ability to control that experience, to not feel sort of held to that experience. The time that you spend on Instagram, for us, it works only when the time is positive. It's spent intentionally, and hopefully it's a place of inspiration. This dashboard actually tells you how much time you're spending per day, and then it also gives you an average per week. It also lets you set a reminder for yourself to see if, for example, in your context, 30 or 45 minutes a day on Instagram is sufficient, then this lets you set a reminder that at the 30 or 45-minute mark, we'll send you a little notification that says, hey, it's time to switch off. Um, we've also given people the ability to mute notifications. And this is, again, a way to kind of not be distracted by your phone constantly flashing in your face. I think all of us have been victim to this, especially when we're trying to do something that requires focus and productivity. It's difficult. Another cool feature, which is not on here, but I'll just quickly signal to. We get a lot of feedback from people saying that when there's, they might go to Instagram to look for X thing, and then find 2 hours later you've just been, scrolling mindlessly and not really engaging with the content, or you feel like you may have missed out on something that your friends and your community may have posted since the last time you got onto Instagram. So once you're done seeing everyone's content, it actually shows you a little green check mark that says you're all caught up. And essentially, this is to kind of address any FOMO you might be feeling, any sort of feeling of discontentment you might be feeling, that, oh, I've missed something. This is to help address that. That's kind of largely it. These are, I think, the main tools and features I wanted to talk about. I know I've whizzed through them. And another thing I'm realizing is missing in this presentation is a link, two very important links. One is about.instagram.com. You will find all of this information that I just shared with you in a much more articulate and much more visual way. So please do visit that if you feel like you want to revisit some of what I've spoken about. Similarly, we have help.instagram.com, which has, again, sort of language and protocols to help you navigate and troubleshoot something that might not be working, including it also has our community guidelines, which is our sort of code of conduct, our charter, if you will. We follow the same community guidelines as Facebook. Facebook's community guidelines are called community standards. And if you just Google it, you should be able to see what is and isn't allowed on the platform. Um, that's largely it. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and if there are questions that you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer them.
So on the lines of talking about your community guidelines and how the Facebook has a different one as well, there's one question. A lot of creators share their content across platforms. So, for example, if they may be sharing an Instagram story, which is like you have the option to link your Instagram story to your Facebook story. Would the settings for the privacy settings be the same for your Facebook audience as they were for your Instagram audience?
So no, I think your face, even though you're able to sort of link your accounts and cross post to Facebook, I think it's always a good idea just to go in and check on your privacy settings on Facebook as well, just to make sure that the audience that you want to communicate this information with is the audience and not perhaps a wider or even a smaller audience. So I think it's always a good idea to go into Facebook, check what your privacy settings are, because I don't think they map from Instagram to Facebook. Instagram is also, I think, a much more um, it's a much more basic version of Facebook. I think Facebook has multiple different components and people use it very differently, right? And your Instagram might be a place of just sort of private communication and sharing with close friends. That's actually
Mm-hmm.
another feature that I probably should have put out there. Now I'm realizing is not there. When you share to your stories, you can also just share to a set of close friends, and you can kind of customize and create a close friends list. So let's say I have an account, I have 50,000 followers. I don't mind sharing, my views on feminism, or I don't mind sharing, pictures of my cat or my dog or my plants. But like a close family celebration with, people who are near and dear to me, and I may not want to expose their information to a wider audience, then actually I can create a close friends list and only share to them. But this is something that's only applicable in stories. It doesn't apply to posts and it doesn't apply to reels.
So when you share this Instagram story to this close friends list, and you have a setting activated that allows you to share it to Facebook, would is this something that you would have to physically go and see as to whether it's being posted, or is this something that you have to physically make sure in your settings and Facebook as well that it's not being your close friend story is not being posted?
So as far as I understand, and I will go back and check this, if your close friends will the story that you share with your close friends only goes to your close friends on Instagram. I'm pretty certain it doesn't get shared to
Go
Facebook,
to
but
Facebook.
I will double check that. It's a good question.
It's good to know that there is something like this you can do. Just one more question on the lines of preventing violence against women. That's the theme for this week's Nyaya, uh, the Nyaya Spotlight. Are there any specific intervention methods that Instagram uses to or deploys for preventing violence against women?
So I'll take a couple of steps back and just talk about our community standards. And I'll use the word community standards because it is the sort of umbrella term that we use internally as well. We develop policies, and we have multiple policies that are developed in order to prevent violence against women. For us, it's always a balance between enabling expression and allowing for free speech, but also making sure that our community feels safe and welcome. So we have policies that prevent, adult nudity and sexual activity. We have policies around how you can display, sexual activity. We have policies. We have very, very stringent policies on protecting children or any kind of exploitation of children, whether it's, domestic or servitude or even sexual exploitation of children. So those are things that we have very stringent policies around. In addition to that, gender is a protected category under our hate speech policies. So any violence towards women would then also come under our hate speech policies. And then, of course, we have strong policies around bullying and harassment that are developed in order to protect individuals, but also taking into account, uh, you know, the ability for people to have discussions or discourse around certain issues. So public figures in that sense have slightly lower protections than private individuals, but for private individuals especially, we have a pretty strong threshold for what we consider bullying and harassment, and we don't allow it. The one call out I'll make is that, especially when it comes to bullying and harassment, we rely on people reporting that content, and we always encourage people to not report the entire account that is engaging in abuse, but rather that specific piece of content. Because for us, it's important to hear from somebody whether the language that is being exchanged is being exchanged in a particular context, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I might, and I don't know if I should say the word, but I might call my friend a certain thing, you know, and it might be slang language that I'm comfortable using with my friends, and that's okay. But if a complete stranger calls me that same word, like for me, that might be bullying and harassment. That so I have to report it in order for Instagram to know that, okay, this is something that's not acceptable for me on my feed, and please review it against your policies. Something that we introduced very recently was a policy, a sort of like a note, almost a zero, like a zero tolerance policy for rape threats. So if anyone is making severe rape threats against somebody and it's a targeted individual, then we don't have any tolerance for that, and we will go ahead and disable that account. The reason that this is a, something I'd like to call out is because we understand that people engage in a certain way online, and we also want to give them time to course correct. So it's not like if I bully somebody and it's a sort of minor bullying content, minor bullying comment, that will not necessarily lead to an account being disabled. However, if somebody is making rape threats against you, that goes off. That person's account goes off.
That's really good to know. That's also, we have another question that's come up from the audience. What should users do if there are fake accounts in their name?
So please report it. You can when you report a piece of content, and perhaps I should have showed that, you'll get a bunch of options, and one of those will be impersonation. So you can report an account for impersonation, and when you report it, it gives you three options: is it me, is it somebody I know, or is it a public figure or celebrity? So please, please, please report accounts that are impersonating you. Another thing, and I can share some of these links with you, and perhaps you can distribute it to the audience. We have something called an image privacy rights form. So if somebody is posting your image without your consent and you would like for it to be removed, then we require you to report it through this form. It can be found on the help center. So if you just go to help.instagram.com and write image privacy rights, so you should be able to see that form. But I'll send you the link, Shrotra, and you can share it with the audience.
That will be good because we're going to be putting this video out soon on our YouTube and other social media channels as well. Thank you so much for that succinct explanation on how do you basically like keep yourself safe on Instagram. It was it was an eye opener for me on so many things. I didn't know you couldn't uh, like there were custom words that you could put in to basically. I didn't know that you could put in custom filters as well. That was really helpful. Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. I think the one last thing I'll say, and this is more in the context, I think, of mental health and well-being, but it's something that I mean, I will always use an opportunity to plug this because it's an incredible feature. So when you report something, uh, one thing is that it's always anonymous. If I report Shinotra's post, she will not know that Tara has reported it. It's an anonymous report. This becomes especially helpful when you're reporting posts where you can see that somebody is indicating either a cry for help or that they might be considering suicide or a form of self-injury. So when you report it and you report it for suicide or self-injury, the next time the person opens up the app, they get a little push notification that says, hey, somebody who cares about you has reported your post, and it looks like you may need some help. And it actually, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, the language is of course much more sensitive and better framed. But what we'll do is give you three options. The first option is to go to our help center where we've listed organizations, and we've also listed issues and tried to explain them in simple terminology without a lot of scientific or medical jargon. And this is stuff that we collaborate with people around the world, academics and practitioners around the world to develop. The second thing is it takes you to your own phone book, so you can reach out to a friend or a family member or a confidant. And the third option, which is really helpful, is it connects you to helplines. And we have partnerships with multiple helplines around the country. These are trained professionals in the mental health sort of practice space. Some of them are volunteer organizations like Samaritans. We have partnerships with the Tata Institute of Sciences. They have a helpline called iCall and other such
Mhm.
organizations. And this is a way for you to get that support. I think even in the context of violence against women, there's a lot of, I think, ancillary stuff that happens, especially in the mental health, in the arena of mental health. So for those who are struggling, you can always reach out, and we have partnerships to help support people's mental health issues as well.
This is an amazing feature. I mean, not it's for both, in fact, the person who needs the help and also for the person who wants to report it. Because a lot of times people don't go ahead and report it because they don't want their name out there.
Yeah.
But it's beneficial for both. This is a really useful feature. Thank you so much for that and for taking the time to talk to us today on this really important issue. And we shall be putting this up, as I said earlier, we'll be putting this up on YouTube and other social media platforms and also on our website. So please do have a look soon. Thank you, Tara.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Happy
Thank
weekend.
you. You too.
Bye.